Okay. We've got this going.
Hold on.
Nope.
All right, man.
We good?
We're live.
All right. Guys, hey. Welcome to the journey to wherever. My name is Daniel.
And I'm Ivan.
So something, man, we got to tell the peeps.
We've got to tell everyone what's going on.
We've got to tell the fam.
We've,
something's happening. This is the first.
We've graduated Podcast University, everyone. For those who are regular listeners to us, we may have mentioned this in the past before. I'm not quite sure if we have, but
We have.
We've wanted to launch a video version of this podcast
Yes.
as well,
Yeah.
and get it live on the various video streaming platforms, i.e. YouTube, Facebook, all those kind of ones where we can put video out there. And today is the first effective launch of our video version. So if all went successfully...
Yes.
Oh, actually, I didn't do the clap. Hold on a second. If all went successfully, you will be able to go and watch this version of the podcast as a video on YouTube and Facebook and all of that stuff. So if it's gone live, the future self, future you guys listen to this will certainly be able to do that. But that's it. So hello everyone on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to the show. This is the journey to wherever.
And if you are new to the show from YouTube,
subscribe.
You've got an archive of stuff to listen to, so you can kind of catch up.
Exactly.
As well.
We've got like 80 odd episodes in the bank already, but you can certainly go back
a little while. So normally you kind of do this,
at the start,
I guess in sync. But as we have been, we just kind of roll with the flow and
So
better late than never, as they say.
So make sure you subscribe to our channel if you're watching online. Hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with all of the new videos that get released. And if you like the show, leave a comment down below and let us know. We may have to reduce the amount of language that we drop out on the podcast, though.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe online platforms might not like it.
Oh man, I've seen some YouTube videos that are like.
Have you?
Yeah. Well, dropping bombs and stuff.
Let's just go with what we do then.
We're not fully explicit. We drop a bomb here and there, but we're not like.
Yeah.
We're not like doing fully stuff. But anyways.
We're pretty good.
We're pretty good.
So yeah, man, how you been?
I've been good, man. I've just, you notice the crisp that's come over?
Mate, it's gotten a little bit nippy in
It's gotten a bit
Sydney
nippy.
at the moment. I think we're getting like 7 degrees tomorrow here.
Sorry?
We're getting like 7 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, last night is like, when you're like half asleep and you know what you need to do, but you don't do it because... I guess because you're half asleep and you're kind of lazy. Yeah. Like, so normally in our bedroom, we normally like to sleep with the sliding door open. Yeah. So it can kind of just let some like natural air in. But Tasha just obviously had closed it overnight, knowing that it was going to be a cold one. So like I wake up with the like the full, it's loud. Like it was loud whistle. And I'm like, and to wake me up in the middle of the night, that's a good effort, right? So the wind done its job. And I woke up and I'm just like, fuck is that? What is that? And I'm walking around. I went to the sliding door to close it, but it was locked. And I'm like, where the hell is that coming from? And I just went, oh, fuck it, I'm too tired. I'm going to bed. I went back to bed. And it went all night. And it was just this like annoying thing in the background the whole time. But it was actually coming from her walk-in robe. She's got a little window in there.
Oh, so you worked out what it was.
Yeah, it was like, after I woke up. But anyways, all good. My week has been really good. I've just been up to some really good stuff. How about yours?
Yeah, man, it's been super busy. Work's been flat stick. It's still going to be flat stick for a little bit, but looking forward to it slowing down hopefully in the next week or two. Yeah. And then hopefully banging to get another camping trip out there sometime soon. I just got to wait for these weeks to slow down, but that's certainly in the
a lot
in
of
the works too.
Still closed.
Nah, they are too, man. Because we had the massive floods here.
Yeah.
Everything's been kind of flood damage.
Well, it hasn't rained for a while here, but it rained enough in 4 days that would equate to 8 months worth of rainfall.
It was like 1,000 mils, like a meter. Who gets a meter of rain?
It was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, enough about the weather, because this isn't the weather channel. What's going on, man? What's on your mind?
We were having a bit of a chat before the show, and I'm a positive. Am I a positive person? I think I'm a positive person.
You're a positive person.
I'm a positive person. And I guess
what's making you question you not being positive?
Okay,
let's just dive in with that
first. I'm trying really hard not to go into a bit of a rant. I don't want to rant. It's not a rant, but it might be a bit of a rant. But anyways, nonetheless, I've had probably a few too many conversations. And disclaimer, I feel like before I go on, I'm older enough, and I've got a chink in my armor of experience that allows me to kind of rant about this.
Okay.
You know? I'm not 64, I'm not 14, I'm 34, or almost 34, right? Anyways, nonetheless, it's like, that whole manifestation of like law of attraction, achieve, conceive, believe, all that kind of stuff. I'm not anti it.
Okay.
But I am anti it being only it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like the only thing that is required. And this is not just for business or work. It's self-development, it's relationships, it's just your own personal development. It could be anything that would require for you to moving to a better self.
Okay.
Would that be the right thing to say?
Yeah.
So I've had a few conversations with some younger clients of mine, and I'm just annoyed at the prospect of them believing that if you put a nice big collage on your wall with fancy pictures and all the things that you want to dream and achieve and stuff like that, that is the only piece that you need
in order to make sure that you can manifest or bring something into your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was having these conversations a lot, and then I was like, okay, maybe it's just that person, and then you have another one, and then you have another similar one, and then you start to notice this trend.
So do you know a lot of people that put up posters and kind of do that visualization stuff?
Yeah. Okay. And again, I'm not against it, but it's like, let's just say there's 10 pieces of the puzzle. There's probably more. Maybe less. There's 10 pieces of the puzzle for personal development and success.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm saying that the law of attraction and all those kind of things is maybe 1 to 2 pieces of the puzzle, and that there's more pieces to it. What I'm getting annoyed with is the fact that people are putting all the eggs in the basket of this. This is all you need to do.
Yeah.
Achieve, believe, conceive, all this. And it's not nonsense, but it's just the thought process is nonsense. And I have a trouble with it because but there's so many people. Have you read all the reviews of all the people that have had success with it? I'm like, yeah, but isn't that kind of like user bias? It's like...
Does it feel anecdotal to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like people like, you're interviewing all those that have read the books.
Yeah.
And all their success stories. But what about that one guy that put up the collages on the wall?
That didn't get anything.
The aspiring musician, the guy that trained and practiced day in, day out, played his piano, played his saxophone, whatever it might be, did all the right things.
And just never got it.
Where are those stories?
It's a good point. And I think... I've read a lot of the books around law of attraction. Yeah. I mean, I've got some of them on my shelf. Like
here, actually.
Okay, so I've got the Secret, the Power, the Hero, the Magic. There's a whole Rhonda Byrne series. I think there's even another one that she's published before. Yeah. And I've read them all. I've actually got another one here, the Law of Attraction from Esther and Jerry Hicks. This is quite well known in the law of attraction, pure law of attraction believers. Yeah. Things like Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I think it's by Dr. Murphy.
Yeah.
By Dr. Murphy, for example. So there's kind of like, and underlying in a lot of the books, there's probably an underlying tone of that in there. And I'm not one that goes around every single day and practices and follows the law of attraction, at least not now. And I think this speaks back and plays back to what, we had actually had a good conversation about this before, around how much we've matured and come a long way and how practical we are versus how much of a visionary we are. And for me, being more practical nowadays versus being more of a visionary back say 10 years ago, the visionary aspect played very much to, you're
talking about the visionary versus practicality episode
we did. That's right. And visualizing a lot of the life that I wanted and then having the good emotions around that. And one of the things that I actually struggled with was, why if you have all the positive thoughts and I guess, put the good energy out there into the world, do you not always get it back?
Because it's not the only piece of the puzzle.
Well, that's right.
That's what I was. But
at the time, my justification was somewhere along the lines of, well, maybe there's something not aligned with the energy I'm putting out. Maybe subconsciously I've got some negative thoughts or negative feelings, or maybe I don't truly want that. Yeah. Therefore, that's not what's coming back.
Because maybe you do.
Possibly.
But
But it's one of those things that it's not, because there's no heart. Well, people might argue this, but for my mind, there's no generally universally accepted science that the law of attraction exists.
No.
I think there's a lot of cases that would argue that there is something there. And from a scientific point of view,
I think
observing more in your life comes down to things like your reticular activating system, for example.
Yeah.
And you all of a sudden being able to see a lot more things out there that you otherwise wouldn't have seen until you really wanted it. For example, we, for example, were something like picking these podcast mics up, for example, at one point. I had some mics and I was like, I want to get some new mics. And I was looking around, and they just weren't out there in my face all the time. We went and bought these ones, ordered them, received them in the post, got it, and then within like a couple of weeks later, I was walking through like Costco, and they had like a full package, and I observed it and noticed it straight away in front of my face.
Yeah.
And it had the arm and the mics and the headphones. It was a full package. I was like, that's pretty good. Like I really liked it. I wouldn't have minded getting that because it was a good kit.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice it until I had started thinking about it. Now, could you argue that I was kind of thinking about it and then wondering,
you're in that
or
space.
was it my reticular activating system picking up on it?
Yeah.
And me observing it more.
Yeah, it's like that case when people buy a new car, for example, and you buy yourself like whatever it might be, whatever car it is, and all of a sudden you see your car everywhere,
and everyone's got the car.
and everyone's got it.
And
It's
you're
like,
kind of like, now everyone's got it. It's like, well, maybe everyone already had it.
Exactly.
You're just observing it more.
You're observing it more. That's right. And again, I'm not trying to shit on it. I'm not saying it doesn't work or anything like that. What I'm saying is, what's dangerous about it is, like you were saying before, it was more appealing to your younger self than what it is now. Well, not so much well, yeah, to a certain degree, yes, right?
It was.
But like, that's what my concern is, because a lot of the people I'm doing, because I've been doing a lot of kind of, presentations in certain gyms, and I've been, I've got a lot of different concepts. Just one just popped into my head just now. The one that I had recently, we didn't have an argument, but it was more a case of like, this was the third week in a row, and I had to kind of like stop him in his tracks and say, dude, like, you need to focus.
Who is this person you're talking to?
So it was a client of mine, right? And he's recovering from a tear in his quad.
Okay.
And he's just, there's a lot of like, oh yeah, man, like, I believe I'm still gonna get there. I believe if I think this way, I'm gonna get here. Everything's all about if I believe, and if I manifest, and if I do this, I'm gonna get there. Meaning, like, he'll recover from his injury and he will still make it to this team.
Yeah.
And I'm telling him that's fantastic,
but
you still haven't done your shit. You still haven't done what's still required physically to get where you're getting at.
Yeah.
Because then it falls back on me as his physical therapist, that I have to go, well, no, dude, like, it's not just achieving, believing, conceiving, and all that stuff that's going to get you there. You still need to follow X, Y, Z as well.
Yes.
So then I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding between him. I think he was then thinking that I was saying that all this stuff here, like that was like
wishy-washy stuff.
I was wishy-washy, and I wasn't saying that. I was saying that it is part of the piece.
Yeah.
The argument then began where he was saying, no, it's the only piece.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, no. Like, there's 8, 10, 12 pieces of this puzzle we call life. This is a very minor piece. That's what I was trying to say. And I'm concerned to the fact that there's a lot of, because there's so much noise in everything that's happening now, that we're being drawn to so many things that can get us to that next step. And for some reason, this just glows more. Yeah. And people are attracted to it. And I feel like it's just a tad dangerous.
It's a tad dangerous because it depends on how people are, I guess, interpreting what the message is supposed to be. So,
yeah. And every book is different as well. And everyone has a way of conveying the message.
So the underlying, I guess,
there's no science behind it either, right? So you can kind of say whatever.
Yes and no. For those who truly follow the law of attraction. Yeah. Right? Let's call it that. For those that truly follow it, there's kind of like a fundamental formula in order to get what you want through that way if you follow that process.
Yeah.
This is what they claim. And I'm not saying this is what I believe in, I'm just giving you the fundamental formula.
Yeah.
It's basically along the lines of what you need to do is you need to vision and feel the feelings of having what you want, that as if you've already got it. So feel those feelings and imagine what it would be like if you've already got it, and get to the point where you feel it so much that it's almost already real right now.
Yeah.
Visualize what it is, and then put gratitude out into the universe, being grateful for it, that it's already yours and that it's on its way, and let the universe take over.
Okay.
That's the fundamental kind of process around.
That's the base.
The law. That's the baseline.
That's the base level.
The problem is, and I think this way where it might have been misconstrued in some of the books that have been published out there, particularly those that get very popular, is people think you just sit there and you just dream, vision, believe, and the universe will just drop it into your lap.
Exactly.
But what they're missing is that you still need to put in the work, go out there and do some stuff.
Yeah.
And then maybe then, because you're doing stuff, you're in motion, which creates a lot of the feelings around the whole thing.
That's right.
Because if you move, your body creates motion, that you then maybe
attract it
even more into your life, and you put yourself in a place where maybe you're even ready to receive it. Because if you just sit on your ass in your living room and go, I'm going to envision that I'm going to get a brand new car, but you open your garage door and it's full of like old shit that you can't even open up the garage, where the heck's the car going to get parked anyway?
Exactly.
Maybe there's some sort of a thing in there. Well, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out there, clean my garage, sell some shit in the garage, make a little bit of money and go, oh, well, I just sold all this stuff. Oh, maybe I could start saving for this car.
Yeah.
And then you go and you start thinking, oh, all of a sudden a deal comes up where had the deal have not come up, maybe you've just scraped in enough money now to be able to put the deposit down, but had you have not sold the stuff and cleaned the garage, you wouldn't have had enough money to go and get the car in the first place.
That's right.
Which then gave you the ticket to getting your foot in the door and getting the car.
Yeah.
Maybe you still got to pay it off, but the fact that it was on discount at the right time because you cleaned the garage, got it, maybe that's really what the law of attraction is supposed to do. And that's what I think the missing ingredient is for a lot of people if you choose to believe that.
Yeah. Everything you just said it makes 100% sense, and I agree with it. It's the moving part. That's what I encourage. It's like believing and thinking that things are just going to fall in your lap is not. But that's when you read a lot of the stuff, you can't help
but think that's
what they're trying to promote.
Yeah, that's right.
Because a lot of the stuff you read it and you read it and you read it and you read it and you think, okay, when is the action bit coming, or is this just all visual manifestation?
Yeah.
Because after I read a lot of it, it's pretty much, I'm going to throw a figure out there, 90 to 95% visual manifestation.
Yeah.
And it's a concern. For me, it's a concern. It's like, you know, like I was saying with the client, he was like, I'm like, dude, in order for you to get to this team, we need to like hurry things up. Are you doing this? No. But I believe if I do it this way, and I had a dream that if I do it, I'm like, oh my God, dude, you're killing me, man. Like, you're killing me. Like, you still need a dream as much as you like. I'm not telling you to stop dreaming. I'm telling you, you also need to do X, Y, Z in order to get where we need to get to.
Yeah.
Or else you're going to miss the boat, man. It's just, there's almost like this kind of lack of urgency in a sense. It's like, it'll happen. It's like, it's done this reverse effect. Like if you've come from an age where like our parents came from, it was all just hard slog. It was almost zero visual manifestation. It was like, it'll only come if we do this. And somewhere in the lines, it's kind of a coming to the middle. And we're going, oh, this is a good space. I think it would be better if we were just to dream more. And it'll happen. That's the bit that's like, it's just a slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope. And I used to believe it quite a bit when I was, as I said, like in my early maybe 20s. Mm-hmm. And if I like cast my mind back, I could probably say there was a good number of times that I can remember where through no other way of me thinking what it could have happened by, I have to put it down to probably just being super grateful at the time.
Yeah.
And saying, well, because I hadn't put in any sort of intention. I hadn't hoped for stuff like this to happen.
Yeah.
Something as simple as like, when I went on my honeymoon, for example, and we had booked a room, and it was a nice room. We picked like a certain suite, and at the time we were feeling like super grateful about life, super grateful about getting married, super grateful about what lies ahead. And when we went out on our honeymoon, we had such good vibes. We rocked up on the first day and the guy's like, oh, sorry, we double booked your suite. Your suite's already booked. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? He's like, but don't worry, we've upgraded you to the best suite on the island. Yeah. And we were like, what? And as soon as he said the name, I was like, oh my God, Nat, I know what suite he's talking about because I looked it up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't afford this. This is like €1,000 a day, like 10 years ago. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there's no way we could have got that. But it was kind of there. I had seen it. But he gave it to us.
Yeah.
The suite. And we had this whole suite, double story, nice, spa on the rooftop, overlooking the whole resort. Yeah. Like it was the way we got treated was bliss. And we were like, I think we just attracted this in our life. Like we must have just been in a good spot.
And maybe you did.
And there's no other reason for me to explain why it happened.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things around that time that happened that were really, really good.
Yeah.
Or was it just luck? But the thing is that this is a strange thing. Is as a scientific person, I don't believe in luck. I don't believe in luck. I think you create your own situation, and to an extent, I think there's other external forces that kind of affect our lives. But for the most part, I don't believe in luck. But there's a part of me that does kind of believe in the law of attraction if you take action. Still to this day, I think it's got
the action you took was going on a honeymoon.
Yes, but there was probably nothing like I didn't vision.
Because you didn't have to go on a honeymoon. We didn't have to go there.
Well, I mean, I had a vision board when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I did have like picture of a nice island and stuff on there.
Yeah.
So
okay.
maybe I got it. Enough. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, look, everything you said, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you probably did attract it. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is it's not the only piece. You know, it's when you speak to people and it's like there's two parts. It's when they focus solely. This is the only thing you should do to get whatever it is that you want.
Yeah,
it's the only thing. When it's not happening, and you try to tell the person, all right, when are you going to change things up, and they just still like beating their head against the wall constantly, brick head, poof, poof, just constantly. It's just like, when are you going to stop? When are you going to eventually realize?
Without giving too much away, because I know you've got privacy and stuff like that. You can't talk about it too much. But roughly what age bracket are we talking about when you see people presenting with this kind of thing?
It is definitely from early adulthood. So like from about, say, 18 to 35.
Is the most prominent?
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because there's not a lot of maturity in life.
It's probably less when it comes to the 30s, but there's still people there that fully into it. But then without kind of, throwing them too much under the bus, it's like if I kind of off the top of my head look at those kind of people, like they haven't done what maybe most other 30-year-olds have done as well. Like maybe start a family and, get a mortgage and have all these other things that come in that kind of slow down the visualization process.
Which I think plays to the maturity of life.
It's like it's very easy to get snapped out of it when you're achieve, believe, conceive, all this kind of stuff. And then, you're stuck at 3 a.m. in the morning, adhering to your 6-month-old child with, crazy fevers and pooey nappies everywhere, and you're just exhausted. And you're like, I didn't conceive this. Sorry, you did conceive it. I mean, as in you conceive the child, but you're like, I didn't imagine this. This is not on my vision board. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and all of a sudden, it's like, what do you do there? It's just like, I don't know. It's again, I don't want to make it as if it's
a bit of a slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope.
Look, I'd say. I wouldn't discredit the law of attraction being real. I don't think there's enough to say that it's not real. So I'd say I certainly believe it's real, but it has to have an element of taking action. And I think taking action, to your point, would come very much from being experienced in life around all the different curveballs that you can be thrown.
Yeah.
Needing to sometimes change jobs and get uncomfortable because you've got a family to support and maybe your current job isn't paying you enough. Mm-hmm. So therefore you need to go and get a new job that pays more.
Yeah.
mixing up your situation,
it might
making hard decisions.
But it might not be a new job that pays you more. It might be getting in an industry that once you get to the top, it pays you more. So you got to take a step backwards. It's the problem with them is they don't want. No one wants to take the step back. It's not on the vision board.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like all this stuff.
The vision board's green grass and pastures and all this stuff. It's not, a smaller bed and a much smaller half-sized house. It's the big mansion. It's like where's the room for the dirt, for the slug?
Yeah.
For the hard work on your vision board.
The mud we used to call it.
Yeah, where's the room of that? Like on the board, and I think that's a really good point.
Maybe there should be a vision board for the vision board. Like have 3 stages of vision boards.
We spoke about this once. I can't remember which episode it was, where there's like phases of life where you're like in the thick of the mud. We were talking about like you're in the thick of the mud.
Like you're in the pit.
You're in the pits, right?
You start out here. You're dreaming up here. You come down. That's the reality, and then you eventually
kind of
want to come back up again.
Yeah. So it's almost like if you can kind of like map out exactly where you want to go.
Yeah.
If you really want to create a vision board, you could almost like stick like really shitty, tough images and get satiated with that idea.
Yeah.
And get comfortable with that idea and then know as time goes on where it's going to go. The problem with that is if you're a true believer, if you're focusing on the negative, the bad, the slug, it's almost easy enough to believe that that's what you're going to attract more of in your life.
Yeah.
And then becomes this point of, well, the reason why I'm still stuck in this even more, I'm not getting across the line is because that's what I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah.
Again, there's not enough practicality there.
Yeah.
So I think...
Which kind of counters the science aspect
does,
of it.
But there's actually a lot of science around... And there's been studies on this around what visualization does and the state that it changes our body. So, and I'm pretty sure I've heard a study before where there's like Olympians will go and visualize their track. If you go back and look at the movie, for example, Cool Runnings, there's this really iconic scene where they're sitting in the bath, and I think they got pictures of cards or something.
Yeah.
Or the guy like flicks through it, and they're like. And they turn, and then they turn, and they turn. That's a visualization exercise.
Technique.
There's no doubt, like it's a visualization exercise. I'm sure rally car drivers do this, where they've got the thing where they're like, I don't know how they do it, but it's something like hard 2, left, right, whatever, number 2, and they know the turns and this and that. And they got to study the track.
Yeah,
because you're traveling fast on the track.
Essentially,
you're training.
It's training.
But visualization would play a role in how well you can develop to get yourself into a satisfactory enough spot that you can then tackle the task at hand.
Yeah.
So maybe the visualization could be looked at as it's a preparatory exercise before or either as part of you going out and then putting in the work.
The real thing.
Because you can't sit in a bobsled in the bathtub visualizing all the time without getting on the bobsled in the actual track and racing and practicing before you even go to the Olympics.
Well, you said it at the start. Like you said, these people, before they're about to go into their race, these Olympians, right? You're an Olympian already.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking maybe a good decade and a half of pure hard slog before you are the Olympian.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it's like
you've put in a lot of the work.
You already know what's required to then that visualization bit is like more. This is like the peaks of the peaks. It's like this is now the bit to determine that I am the best in this. Whereas being an Olympian already, you're already the best in your country, for example. You know what I mean? And that the gap is so big. That's the bit, And if you put it back to like with my client with the rehabbing aspect, it's like he's thinking about the end bit, which is fine, but he's missing the rehab gap.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff that needs to be done. You know what I mean? Sure, they've got all the practical skills, all the techniques, everything. Like I've worked closely with a lot of performance psychologists and sports psychologists, and there's huge visual imagery stuff that does go into play with the therapy. But those techniques can only be given to someone that has the practical, skills.
To be able to then go and deploy those, use those, apply those.
Yeah. Like, curious, ask you a question. We were talking about the vision board, right? Of like, should there be a vision board before the vision board? Like, I want to get, to this body with a 6-pack, but I know that if I go down this route, I'm going to potentially get this bod, be comfortable with this body so that I can go there. Is there something in those books that I might have missed. That is there like a pre-vision board, negative vision board? Is there any negativity at all to allow positivity? Because it's almost like to go 2 steps forward, maybe take 1 step back. So you're always going 1 step forward, but you're taking.
It's really about shifting your focus from what the negativity that you might have in your life right now. Because the typical case,
I don't remember reading about it, but I was just curious.
No, there's the typical case would be, my life before I started was in turmoil. I was in, a lot of financial. This is the kind of the typical message you'd hear.
Yeah.
If you go and search law of attraction and find a blog, right?
Yeah.
Their life was upside down. They were losing. They're in a job they hated. They're in a bad relationship. Their finances were really bad. They had just lost their job. They just came out of a divorce. They were sick, something like that.
It's completely catastrophic.
It's a catastrophic life event, and then
something positive is bound to come out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like shit, and bad relationship, lost your job, all that's like
exactly. But for a lot of people in their own right, they are stuck in this rut for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And some people just have continuously bad relationships.
They're
just never happy in their job.
But when
their finances are always shit.
Yeah.
So for some people there are. But so when you look at the story of for these people where it's actually changed, there's this common theme of they picked up a book, they listened to something, heard about the law of attraction, and then read it and was like, wow, like I can see like this is my life right now. My life's upside down. How do I turn this around? And it usually starts with, well, what are the things in your life, even though it's bad? You get it. Park that. If you could be grateful, or I'm sure there is something great that you can be grateful, you're not the worst person off in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing that you can be grateful for right now?
Yeah.
That you could be thankful for and you can give gratitude for. And the message is start with just one thing and slowly each day just build upon it.
Yeah.
Get out a piece of paper, write it on a list. Today I'm grateful for. This is what I'm grateful for. Today I'm really grateful for. And just be grateful. And the idea of that, this is where people get construed, is like they go, well, if I write all this down, does that mean that all of a sudden my life's going to get great? Or
that's where I'm
it's going to turn around? It's not. The point of that exercise shouldn't be to make you think that, oh, well, if I start writing what I'm grateful for, I'm going to get all these things on my page I'm grateful for. Because if you write down things you're grateful for,
then it's bound to happen
every single day for 365 years, you'll start writing things that you're not even grateful for, but that you want.
Yes.
And that's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get everything. No. The point of the exercise should be,
and even if you do,
changing your state so that you can get yourself out of the shitty situation.
Yeah.
You can look forward and know that you've got a little bit of resilience and strength now because you've got your shit together.
Yeah.
That you can then make a better decision than the one you already have been.
You need to move.
You need to move. You need to get out of bed. You need to go and fix your resume. You need to go and make some contacts. Mm-hmm. You need to go and put in a little bit more effort at work. You need to leave your job if it's the shittest job and find something else. You need to stop spending money on crap and start parking some money so that you can have a little bit of leeway if you need to leave your job. You need to stop eating, 5 or 6 or 10 hamburgers a week and start eating a few more bowls of salad if you need to get fitter. If you say you want to get fit, go to the gym or don't. Whatever it is, if you want to be a great runner, actually go and hit the field and run.
Yeah.
Like you got to do something. But if you're stuck in this shitty situation at home all the time, you're not going to get there. So writing things down and be grateful for something, the point of the exercise is supposed to make you feel good so you can take a step forward and change your state a little bit.
But at the same time as well, you do all that, but you also have to be prepared to fail at it too. That's the big thing as well. Like a lot of people it's like, oh, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get better at that. I'm like, well, no, maybe if you do want to be a runner and you do go and run and then you start to hit the miles per se, be prepared that part of the failure is maybe not listening to certain pieces of advice and you may injure yourself, which then is a setback. Then you're rehabbing, which then takes longer for you to get to where you need to be. Being comfortable with failure, being comfortable with maybe being 2 steps back behind where you were before. Do you know what I mean?
I do. One thing is really interesting.
There's not enough like being comfortable with being in the shit.
You mean it's a good thing?
Or there's not enough talk about it.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. There's not enough.
Being comfortable with being in the
shit.
In the pits,
in the dumps, I agree.
Like making the pits like your kingdom. It's like, yeah, this is crap, but I'm going to make the most out of being in the pits.
Yeah. One message I'd probably say is this, and this is coming from someone who used to be a very strong believer in the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say now I don't believe it. Like, I don't read those books anymore. They're kind of I've read it, taken knowledge what I want. They sit on my shelf and they kind of teach you a lesson.
Yeah. You squeeze what you want out of it.
You squeeze what you want out of it. The lesson I would probably take is, because I don't have a vision, okay, there's no vision boards up anymore. You look around our studio here, office, wherever we are, I don't have vision boards anymore. It's not to say I don't think about things that I'd like to get. Mm-hmm. But what I've found is the progress of moving forward in life was much, much slower when I did all of that. I focused so much on wanting to have this certain life and, you know, this amount of money or this type of car and this type of house and all that stuff you do when you're in your early 20s. Especially when you're a guy that's trying to get in there and make it in life and the typical stuff, right? Yeah. And what I found was, and maybe it came down to, you know, getting more experience in life and teaching me certain things and maybe shifting what I want, because that's changed now. Yeah. I love a much bigger house. Don't get me wrong. It'd be nice. Yeah. But it's not something I wake up every morning and it's the first thing I think about. Whereas when I was in my 20s, I woke up wondering, well, how much closer am I going to get to that car or that house? Yeah. That was constant obsession. Yeah. What I've found is, having not focused on it and intentionally visualizing it, writing it down, writing my goals down, intentionally not, and just actually getting out there and doing shit. Yeah. Going into work and putting in the effort, making some moves, you know, connecting with the right people, getting uncomfortable, getting a new job that I didn't necessarily want to leave a current one and going through a different one and doing it multiple times so you can take another step forward. It's not a huge step forward, but it's another little step forward. When you kind of just like let the intention go, which is also, interestingly, another aspect of the whole law of attraction is, once you visualize an intended on what you want to get, the message is let it go. Yeah. And I think when you don't have, it's difficult to let go of something. And often for these people that might not have a lot, they might not have got a lot of experience in life, they might not have had a lot of money or finances, holding on to that hope is pretty much all they've got. So it's the difficult part is letting go. Yeah. But until you start to get a little bit of life experience and small life experiences, it allows you to get caught up in life, which forces you to let go because you're focused on something else. Yeah. Which by default lets it go. Yeah. So it's funny, it's by doing work, not focusing on the whole law of attraction more and actually getting out there and doing something. Then I look around and go, well, I think I've done all right now. I've got a really nice family. Yeah. I'm in a spot where I'm fortunate enough to sit here now.
It may not be the vision board.
It may not be the greatest vision board I ever put. Yeah. Well, aspects of it may not be truly what was on the vision board, but if you compare what life's like and equivalences, I've actually got a lot more fruitful life than what was on the vision board anyway. Yeah, it's a much richer life in emotion, context, family, and experiences compared to what I had on the vision board. There's still many things on there that I'd love to get. Yeah. But...
And that's not a bad way to think of it, because I've spoken to a few other people about it, and they're like, "Oh, but that's a defeatist mentality." I'm like, "Well, no, it's not. It's a realist. It's being realistic with the fact that if everybody manifested a palace and a Ferrari and you know, a yacht, then there just wouldn't be enough of them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's just certain things, whatever you believe in, doesn't matter. Not everyone is going to achieve everything. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm saying, like, a lot of those things can be like, they interview so many people and it can be a little bit user bias. So it's just like, I guess the rounding message is to, from everything you just said as well, is to just, if there are 10, 8, 12 pieces, be mindful that it is, I don't know, maybe 1, maybe 2 pieces of the puzzle that's needed in order to get whatever it is that you want.
Yeah. I think you have to take action. There's no two ways about it. You got to take action with being uncomfortable. Yeah. There's no way out of it. Yeah. You got to get
comfortable with being in the shit.
Yeah. And just taking some sort of action. By all means, believe in the law of attraction, or, you know, prayer, spirit, whatever it is.
Whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you. Prayer could be a type of thing for that. You know, writing it down, goals, whatever. By all means, have that. But the ingredient that has to be in the situation is taking action.
Yes. Moving.
And I think it becomes very picturesque when we hear the stories of people who have followed the law of attraction and they've manifested the life that they want. but it's very easy to produce a really good story and cut out the pieces of the hard work and claim it to be just because of that.
Yeah.
The law of attraction.
It's not just that.
It's not just that. You have to do shit.
There's trials, there's tribulations, there's
and you'll fail.
Heartache.
You got to work. And if you've got this view of, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to visualize, and the world's just going to bring it. It's going to fall in my lap.
It's bullshit.
It just doesn't happen. It's just bullcrap.
No. Okay.
It doesn't happen. And we'll take that side of the fence.
Yeah, definitely take that side of the fence. That's my rant. That was my rant. Yeah.
Interesting thought.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel rehabbed now. I've just
we haven't actually spoken about a topic like this on the show before.
No, like we've had very similar topics on certain niches of it. We haven't focused in on, like, we could go down the path of what are the other pieces, and we're not going to go into that now. There's like, there's ethics, there's hard work, there's all these different types of things going. But it's more just sounding the alarm that if you, and I think that's our listener age group is between, I think our highest is between 18 and 35. It's not, for me, my message personally, because I don't want to come across as if I'm a hater. It's like, it's not don't pick up the book and don't read it. I always encourage to read in general, because it's always good. Like, even if you're squeezing a paragraph out of the whole textbook and that's what you get out of it, that's better than what it was beforehand. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying be mindful that it is not the only thing that is required to move forward.
I agree. Well said. Well wrapped up.
All right. In saying that, it's funny, like, when this was all going on, I was like talking to you, I was like, oh shit, the camera's still on.
We've got the camera there. The camera's still on. So
it's like, for me, funnily enough, when we were talking about personal development, I think with the very, very, very first show I mentioned, like, I want to be good at this and get better at that. Like, I can comfortably say now that I'm very comfortable in front of the mic.
But you're uncomfortable
with the camera? I'm uncomfortable with the camera.
You might have appeared in some of my vlogs on my channel, on my own YouTube channel at some point, but this will be the first time where you're actually appearing.
This is my first YouTube foray into the visual social
It's all happening.
Stuff for
It's
me.
all happening here on the podcast.
And in order for me to get better at it, you kind of sprung it up on me last night, like, so how do you feel about doing it? Deep down inside, I was shit scared. I was like,
really?
Oh, this is not my avenue at all. But I'm like, you know what? You got to give it a go at some stage.
Exactly. So, you certainly do. So look, thanks for everybody for listening and potentially watching the show. If this video has certainly gone live, and if it has, thank you very much for watching. We'd love for you to leave us a comment
subscribe
on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube.
And one of our favorite things is just share it to one friend.
Just share it out. Let just one person know. It'd certainly help for us to grow our audience. And if we're putting in the work, we're hoping we're going to grow.
Exactly.
But we can't just dream about it.
No,
we've got to do some shit.
Cannot just dream.
We've got to do some shit, which is ask you. So look, hope everyone has a really good rest of the week wherever you are in the world. And I think that's it from us.
Like always, peace out.
Take care. journeytoever.com.
Oh yeah.
Laters. Bye. Did you like that one?
Yeah, it was good. It was short. It was sharp, and I've been wanting to speak to you about it for a while now, because it's just like when like the universe is sending you a message.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I got to speak about it because it's been happening so many times.
Well, that's how I feel about this. I'm like, if we want to grow some more and we want to get out there, we're going to have to do things that make us uncomfortable. And one of those is getting on video.
Yeah, and
stretching a little bit more. It's going to take a little bit more time, but just doing that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely not, and in saying it, I'm definitely not fully comfortable with this, but I'm comfortable with the challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to be doing any crazy things on it anyways. I'm just sitting down in a chair, but
yeah,
you gotta venture out.
Exactly.
You
certainly do. All right, man. Have a good one. Cheers.
See you guys. Bye.